And there's the buzzer. There'll be a Game 7 between the Bucks and the Celtics thanks to a career-defining performance from Jason Tatum.
Celtics, Bucks, Sunday at Boston. Celtics just won Game 6 to keep their series alive. Just confirmed today there will be no Chris Middleton for the Bucks at all. So, you're the Celtics fan. You've been watching the series more closely. How are you feeling going into Game 7?
I feel really good. I've always felt like in this series, just the way that it's gone, the first team to win back-to-back games is going to win this series. And I think that's going to be the case. I think the Celtics are going to close it out at home. It's an interesting note that, and some people could say that, well, blah, blah, blah. The Celtics did not avoid the Nets. They chose to, there was a point where they rested some starters, specifically against Milwaukee, but Milwaukee also did the same. But Milwaukee then against like the Orlando Magic rested all their starters, and that got them the 3 seed, while the Celtics did not do that to end the season. And so the Celtics ended up matching up with the Nets because they got the higher seed. The Bucks got to avoid them, but now we're looking at a crucial Game 7, and Boston gets to do it at home. And that could be a difference maker because it's just always better to be in front of your home crowd. But one key difference, at least on the series so far, is Milwaukee has actually won 2 of the 3 games in Boston. And so, I don't know. I don't really know how to judge the home court advantage aspect here because it feels like Milwaukee's gotten pretty comfortable playing there. Drew Holiday specifically has played much better on the road in this series than he has at home. Maybe he's thriving off of the hate and the boos or whatever that are coming his way. But ultimately, I don't know. I feel pretty confident. Everything I've heard out of the Celtics locker room and, their mentalities and all that kind of stuff, the way in which they lost Game 5 was a moment in which it could have been incredibly deflating and you could have lost your will to keep going because they should have had that game and they just made too many crucial mistakes in the last minute that basically gave the game away. But they responded in such a big way in Game 6 on the road that I don't know. I feel like they're going to win this game. If you're a Milwaukee fan and you get offended by what I'm about to say, sorry, but the Celtics have been the superior team this entire series. And I say that with the full knowledge that Chris Middleton has not played. And if he had played, it could have been a totally different series. So, take that for what you will. But ultimately, the Celtics, they could have won this series 4-1 if they just didn't make a couple crucial mistakes at the end of games. And so I really feel like they've shot themselves in the foot over and over. But in Game 6, they cleaned it up. In the fourth quarter, I don't think they had a single turnover. And that's what has cost them in some of these other games. Oftentimes in the games they've lost, you can see that there's sort of these stretches, specifically in the second and fourth quarters, where they start turning the ball over a lot, and all of a sudden the Bucks get a lot of second chance points. When they limit those second chance points off of turnovers and offensive rebounds, the Celtics have been winning these games. So I feel good. I think they're going to win. I don't know. I have a random feeling that Jaylen Brown's going to go off in this one. I think that Jason Tatum's obviously going to have a good game. So yeah, I'm taking the Celtics to win. My initial prediction before the series was Celtics in 7. So now that we're here, I can't turn back on it now.
Yeah, I forgot my predictions.
I think yours was Celtics in 6.
If only you close out Game 5. Yeah, and I do want to start there because you didn't mention it. You kind of alluded to it, but obviously Marcus Smart was under some fire, because he had some. Like I told you, I think the block layup was just unfortunate. He blew past Pat Connaughton, and Drew just, made a great play. And then after that, though, didn't see Tatum. It was last second. It's tough. But I will credit Marcus Smart with this. He's a gamer. Game 6 comes out and still plays, like you mentioned, with a high level of confidence. Didn't let Game 5, I think he went like 4 for 7 from 3, or probably even better. He had
5 for 9.
5 for 9. Had a really good night off, a better night offensively. And then, like you mentioned, too, the team itself, no turnovers in the fourth was huge.
Just to add for that real quick, the way that he responded, 2 turnovers at the end of that other game, getting blocked and then turning over. He had 0 turnovers in the whole of Game 6 and 7 assists. So he responded very well.
Yeah, so, as much criticism as Marcus Smart may get, whether it was Defensive Player of the Year or not, he's still playing not only at a high level, but, with his wits about him. But Yeah, I'm good with you, and not because I have no dog in this race per se, because both pop disciples here going at it. I'm going. If I had to pick, I'm going with the Celtics. I just think they're a better team overall. I think we even saw last game. Giannis had a great game, but at some point, I mean, I feel like the Celtics strategy is just make him work real hard for his buckets, and we're not going to let their supporting guys, really have a great game. Because as great as Giannis is, he's not like a Durant where he can just seamlessly, make jump shots, and a lot of it's just him driving to the hole and creating contact. But y'all just making it really tough on him to do so. Yes, he'll get his, he'll make some, some layups, some shots, but it's a lot. If you watch the possessions, it's a lot of work for him, and especially when you're playing 40 plus minutes, I don't care who you are, it wears on you. That being one of the reasons, and it just like we've mentioned, there's just many different ways the Celtics win. We've seen Al Horford have a great game, and we've seen Tatum and Brown have a great game. Like you mentioned, Game 6, Marcus Smart had a really good game, and Derek White's been solid here and there. While in Milwaukee, it's just no offense to their role guys, but especially recently, I mean, Pat Connaughton's been okay, but he's not going to get you more than in the teens maybe. Drew Holiday's been hit or miss, and I feel like you've gotten enough Drew Holiday games as especially offensively as a Bucks fan. So it's tough though. I could see the Bucks winning this one. Giannis could have a great game very easily, but end of the day, like you mentioned, Boston has been in the driver's seat to win most of these games, or at least been close in these games. And like you mentioned, just a few, the Bobby Portis, rebound too, and just a few, I won't say slip ups, but just inability to close out a couple of these games. And I think I'm sure Ime's telling him, like, listen, guys, like we've been the better like you said, been the better team this entire series. We need to pull a full 40 or I forget 12-minute quarters, right? 48 minutes. I always get mixed up between that and football, 60. Just full 48 minutes, guys. Like and they just did that Game 6. I'm sure they can carry it over to Game 7 in front of your home crowd, like you mentioned. That always provides just extra boost, energy, momentum. Momentum swings are greater at home. So I'm with you. I'm going with Boston, but I do expect this to be a very good game for Game 7.
And I will add for Milwaukee, if someone comes back to this after the game's already over and Milwaukee has somehow won, I imagine it's probably going to be because a guy like a Bobby Portis or a Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton or Drew Holiday, somebody else is going to have to step up, because if we've seen in some of these games, if Giannis is the only one that can put up 25 or more points, even if it's all the way up to 44 that he had in Game 6, if he doesn't have that supporting cast being able to put the ball in the hoop, they're not going to win, because Boston does have that supporting cast. It's not just Tatum. Jaylen Brown can show up. Marcus Smart can show up. Al Horford had a 30-point game. We've had some 20-plus point games from Grant Williams. So, they have other people who are stepping up when it matters, to where Milwaukee is really missing Chris Middleton, who was that guy consistently. They're going to need somebody else to do it. So watch out, because maybe if I feel like Bobby Portis is probably the most likely candidate, that he just has one of those games. The tough part is he usually has those games in Milwaukee, but if one of their other guys can really step up and have a big scoring night, then that can be a key for Milwaukee to win. But it's going to be tough against that Celtics defense.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see what happens there for Celtics Bucks Game 7 on Sunday.